Hello and welcome back to another advanced Hwoarang lessons. Today's lesson is a classic because this move, that's right, 3-3-3, 3-3-4, 3-3 F4, 3-3 forward. These have been in the game for quite some time. It's a legacy string, and as such, we need to discuss it. So we're gonna start it one by one. We're gonna discuss the frame data of each of the strings. So we're gonna start with the first one. Standing 3. That's right, this is a 14 frame high. It's pretty far. Looks like more or less like kind of like range 2-ish. Maybe like the early parts of range 2, so like range 1.9. And it is, again, +4 on hit and -7 on block. And you can maintain that distance between you and your opponent, which is pretty cool. So if you record Hwoarang here, doing a standing 3 and then hold back into a back 3, you could potentially launch something. Well, again, if you're fast enough. But if they press a button immediately right after your -7 to lock you in, again, you're not going anywhere. So that's pretty much standing 3. There's nothing on counter hit. You just get more damage. So again, 18 damage on counter hit and 15 damage on regular hit. So that's +3 damage as a whole for standing 3. Of course, once we start pressing the 3 button again, that's when you get more stuff. So 3-3, this one is -13 on block. And damn, look at that space. If standing 3 was getting space on block and maintaining it, 3-3 is really maintaining the distance between you and your opponent. Albeit you are -13, although this is the kind of -13 that's a little bit difficult to punish, but we'll get to that soon. Or like the other reason why it's difficult to punish, but just for discussion's sake here, if I try to do 3-3 and Hwoarang attempts to punish this with a DF1+2, Hwoarang's 13 will not reach it. So again, you need a long 13 frame punish to like even punish this move, barring like the other cheesy reason why it's difficult to punish it. So that's 3-3, right? It's -13 on block, and then if you do get it to hit, the second hit to hit, you are -7 on hit, so you are at a disadvantage. And if you do get it on counter hit, you're -2. So you can see a little bit different, right? Standing 3 +4 on hit, and then if you do the string, you end up being negative on hit and on counter hit. And just the same as like the first one, distance on 3-3, you could really get something off this. Again, good punish. But of course, if they maximize the frames and you were caught pressing, yeah, you're gonna get counter hit just like that. But if you press 3-3, even more, right? Because why wouldn't you want to like just keep pressing buttons? You get 3-3-3, and 3-3-3. This is -14 on block. This is gonna hurt a lot if your opponent has a 14 frame launcher. Imagine law 3+4-4. But this does knock down the last hit, and you get a guaranteed F3-3 cheap shot. And of course, that's on natural hit, 35 damage. If you get it on counter hit, and it's counter hit from the second hit onwards, because if you get it from the first hits, the third hit is not counter hit, unfortunately. So it's only on the second hit onwards that you get that, and you end up with 49 damage. So that's 3-3-3. But you can press a different button after the second 3, and that is 3-3-4. Now this one, a little bit different here. So again, it all comes from 14. So you start high, mid, and then you can either go into the mid or you can go into the high. And this high in particular is, well, it's pretty plus on block, as you can see that. +10 on block. If the third hit hits by itself, that's +20, but that's not a +20 guaranteed, because RFS back 3 will not launch there, so that's +20G. However, every Hwoarang knows this. You see it in a lot of combo videos. If the second hit, again, hits, you get the second hit. Cool. +20G. But it's the last hit in particular. If it hits, you get a big launch, and your opponent, well, let's just say they are wishing they didn't press a button, because it's an average of 96 damage that they gotta tank. And that ain't cool for the opposing player at all. Now, of course, this does not jail. So if we have Hwoarang here crouch guard and stand guard, if I press 3-3-4, there you go. So you can see the first 2 hits will keep the opponent in check, so it essentially jails. But if you press the 4, it will not. Of course, that's where the 3 will cover it. But there are other stuff that can potentially cover it, aside from like the 3-3, the 3-3-3, and of course for the 4 getting covered, because there's this option, which is 3-3 F4. But from here, that's a high. Wait a sec. It is a high, yes. And if this does connect, just like Backlash, it was Backlash before Backlash became what it is in Tekken 7, which is a launcher. So it's basically the original Backlash, the OG. You get the knockdown on hit, and you don't really get much Oki. You can just really wave up back to them and say, hello, I'm in front of your face again. So if they so happen to wake up at the wall, you already know, hit them with the cheese. But if they do block this move is -1 on block, and they kind of go a little bit off axis here. So you could somehow use that to your advantage. If you find any secret sauce, please put it in the comments. I would love to know if like there's something you can use here, because back in Tag 1 and Tekken 3, using Backlash or even these strings to put the opponent off axis yielded some pretty interesting results. I don't know how it works if like Tekken 7 at all. So again, -1, and it does counter hit. So if the second hit hits, you can pretty much say hello to damage, 37 damage. But of course, yes, it does not jail as mentioned previously. But it does come out pretty fast. So if your opponent isn't ready for this and they're more ready for that, they look a little bit different. But again, it doesn't jail. So what helps it? What's the other thing? Like if it's a little bit faster than 3-4, what's like the other thing that you can do to like make sure they stay in place? Well, that is where transitioning into Flamingo is great. That is 3-3 forward. As you can see, it is +2 on block. Probably one of the weakest Flamingo transitions at +2. And if the second hit does hit, you get +8. And that's like pretty good frames to work with. And if it is on counter hit, you get a guaranteed LFS 1. Now, of course, that second hit counter hit. If the full string is counter hit, you do not get an LFS 1 because the move is not +13. Again, only for the second kick. And of course, again, yes, there's no way to tell whether that was counter hit or not. So you can kind of just press LFS 1. If it goes in, great. If it doesn't and the opponent still blocks it, great. Now, if they duck it and they launch you, well, you know what to do. Hit them with some armor. Tell them no. You're not allowed to do that. Now, this does transition you to LFS and you're +2. And, of course, basic frame advantage. Since you're only +2 after this and you try to throw out, let's say, your fastest Flamingo move, which is 13 frames, you will lose to a jab. That's just the cut and throat of it. If the opponent tries to do a DF1, they'll lose. If they throw out a Magic 4, they'll win. So that's one thing you have to really watch out for when you transition to left Flamingo on block on 3-3 forward. We'll cover it a little bit later, why, albeit it being one of the weakest Flamingo transitions, why people don't press on it. It's the same thing with why people aren't punishing -13 and why they're afraid to like not duck this and willing to like stand up for that, or sometimes even get hit by it if they were trying to challenge it. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We still have more moves to cover because it's not just off just pressing standing 3 from LFF. You can also do it from LFS, that is left Flamingo stance. So if I transition to left Flamingo like so, I can get the same moves. So again, well, similar moves. It's just that we get the second kick onwards from 3-3 because as you can see, this is a mid. And this is exactly the same kick right over there. So that's the mid kick right over here. So if I press LFS 3, this also again comes out at 14. It is -13 on block. Look at the space. It's the same thing as standing 3, standing 3-3. It's like, wow. And again, you just repeat action, right? Standing 3 into a back 3. If, let's say, the opponent presses something like a DF2, that's a free punish. But of course, if they lock you in, as per usual, you're not getting anywhere. Now, this move, while it is -13 on block, it is, well, it pretty much just shares the same frame data as this, 3-3, the second kick. So -7 on hit and -2 on counter hit. Moving on from the second kick onwards, we get LFS 3-3. Now, of course, -14 on block. You already know, a little bit painful. But if you do get it on counter hit, the full thing, you end up with 47 damage. And that's just a sight to see. And the other one, the other kick, LFS 3-4. If the first two hits, if the first hit is counter hit, your opponent's obviously not going to get launched, but they are again plus 20G. And if the second kick does connect, again, it's just damage galore. And it's exactly the same damage as 3-3-4 because it has to be the last kick to connect for the rest of the combo. Oh well, to remove the G from the plus 20, right? The other one is our LFS 3F4. Same thing. If it's counter hit, you get the 35 damage. If it's on block, you get the -1. Frame data is literally identical. And as I say identical, because again, it's the second kick onwards. And the last move that Hwoarang can still do is 3 forward. 14 frame kick that puts you in Flamingo. You've seen this in maybe a bunch of salty or like trolly and Hwoarang compilations, highlights, whatever, where the Hwoarang is just kind of like machine gun kicking the opponent into oblivion for like mix-ups like this. And then like a down 3-4 comes out, the LFS 3-4, another one, a delayed 3-3, yeah. So this one, if it connects on counter hit, same thing, LFS 1 is guaranteed. And if it does hit, it's +8, and you can freely like check them with an LFS back 4. Woo! That was a lot of moves to cover. And like that was just the basic frame data for all of them. Now let's talk about the whole 3-3, 3-3-3, and LFS 3-4, the second kick onwards into LFS as a whole. So this move is safe. I'd like to say safe in quotation marks. You already know why. Because the frame data on this, if you do 3-3, you're -13. If the opponent has a long-reaching 13 frame punish, you're gonna get hit. However, you can... It's safe because, look, just check this out. If the opponent attempts to press, like you could even delay this. So I'm gonna delay like 3 options here, and we're gonna go through them one by one. If you attempt to punish, like you wanna like take advantage or like even just use your frame advantage, right? You're gonna get hit. So you kind of have to let the 3-3 go because it ends up in the mid and it ends up with mid or high. So if you go for against the high, you try to press a button. That's already a delay. I was pressing a 13 frame move here. I'm going to try to press a 10 frame high here. The jabs. All right, I win on the delay. But again, if I don't delay it, which is a whole mix-up in it of itself, again, they're going to lose. If I bring it to everyone's personal favorite, and you press something a little bit late, yeah, so it's not worth the risk. It just straight up isn't. And if you like just think of down jabbing, sounds great, right? Because you get to deny the high options and you're like, all right, I'll risk the mid option. Well, I'd like to say that was the right choice, but no, Hwoarang has an answer for that. Thank goodness he does have an answer for that, or else we've been in trouble here with this move. So yes, that's off the 3-3 forward. That's off the standing 3-3-3, 3-3-F4, 3-3-4. So that's what makes it safe. And that applies too if you just do it in, what do you call this? You do it all from left flamingo, from the second kick onwards. You let this kick basically just hit your opponent like that. Like you can just let it hang. You're like, you see how they react. More often than not, they're not moving. They're not gonna move. And if they do whiff here, great. I get something. If they don't, that's all good. So for the most part, because it is quite safe because of its follow-ups and the fact that you can enter Flamingo to like low crush or even high crush, the snake edge is available if they attempt to jab while you go 3-3 forward into, you know, Flamingo snake edge or 3 forward into Flamingo snake edge. You can pressure them. So obviously you can't pressure them if you do 3-3 F4, you're -1, or LFS 3F4. But you can pressure them if you do 3-3 forward. You're now +2. If they thought about safety, they're not pressing here. And now you get the opportunity to keep them locked into another LFS 3 mix-up. Because of, like, again, the safetiness of it in quotation marks. And hit them with a down 3-4. Transition to RFS. Transition to RFF with LFS down back 4. In from LFF. From LFS. And then you can just reset back into LFS 1. And then you're back into LFF. And then you can play around with it again. Here's another 3-3. Hey. If you didn't want to go into LFS, don't worry. You can always just go into RFS. So you go 3-3, 3-3-4, and then now you're plus 10. What's the opponent supposed to do? They're not supposed to press a button. They're pressing a button here. Say hello to my axe kick. That's just what it is. If they press an evasive button that will avoid the axe kick, all right. Say no more. Say hello to my RFS back 3. You know, it's just like if for every counter, Hwoarang has an answer for it. And that's why you see this get super delayed in LFS 3-4, because the opponent has to think, is it the mid-mid? Is it into Flamingo? Is it by itself? So it's just more often than not, they just save themselves the trouble. I'm going to try to like at least just fuzzy the high. But if you're able to like really make them think about it, well, at that point, the high will find its way and an axe kick will be falling onto an opponent's head or shoulder. So you can really just stay safe and reset back into RFF after doing an RFS too. Or you can just let it hang. Seriously, try it. Just let it hang. I'm curious to see what kind of results you'll get, even just off a standing 3. It's 14 frames. Why not? Let it fly. So that's what it is. It's great. And of course, we were talking about whiff punishes there earlier. There's a specific amount of frames that you're allowed to whiff punish, okay? So again, we're gonna re-record all of this. So we're gonna record both the standing 3-3 and LFS 3. Because this is the one where you're gonna get potential buttons from the opponent, not from standing 3. Typically, it doesn't happen because they're already waiting for like the second kick. So record. So standing 3-3, backdash into a back 3, and then LFS 3, backdash into a back 3. So it's a question of like how much frames you get, right? So from what I remember, if the opponent presses a 14 frame move, they're still fine. So it's like you have to go a little bit higher than that. Press 15. There you go. The punish indicator is right below me. Can't really see it because I'm blocking the way. But yes, it is going in. But if they press a 16, again, if they just lock you in, you can't do anything. But you're still safe because you backdashed right after 3-3. But if they press 15 and you were on point, you're pretty much launching them. So with a backdash, 15 frames and up, for as long as it doesn't catch you, it will whiff punish. And then if it's 14 frames below, you can't launch punish them for it, but you can whiff punish them for it. So you still have like an advantage, even if it's like that. Same would apply to LFS 3 here. Oh wait, I can't throw out back 3. Again, I'm gonna throw out DF2, 15 frames. But a little bit slow there. There you go, punish. The punish indicator right below me. But if we try to throw out something else, like standing 4, 14. Again, you're at an advantage. The Hwoarang, the opposing Hwoarang, you know, the biker one, can still take advantage of my standing whiff right over there. And that's with the backdash. If we remove the backdash, a lot of things change here. So it was 15 frames earlier that you're allowed to launch punish, provided it doesn't hit Hwoarang, right? So here, if I do a standing 3, now it becomes 14 frames, including for the LFS 3 situation, provided again it does not hit Hwoarang. So now, instead of launching at 15 frames, you're now launching at 14 frames. Because again, one spent a backdash, that's 1 frame. Here, you're not spending a backdash. But of course, you keep your opponent closer to you in that sense. So now, a couple of other buttons will still hit you if you attempt to like do this. But you can do it like more reactionary if your opponent attempts to press a button and you're like, okay, I'm really looking for it. I'm gonna whiff punish you. Now, I can't really replicate the sidesteps. I have been playing around with this move in ranked. I guess feel free to drop by for any of those streams when they are up. But you can kind of step it on block. Not really much on hit, but on block you kind of can. So if you do LFS 3, 4, there you go, right? LFS 3, 4 stepped. But 3F4, a little bit harder to step. And including LFS 3, 3. The same applies for like standing 3, 3, 4 and 3, 3, F4 and 3, 3, 3. It's just easier to showcase it on LFS. Like, I've had opponents step this. Like, the computer has a hard time stepping this. But there have been moments where I have gotten stepped for it. I don't know what's the exact window you're allowed to step it. But it's definitely a small window. There's like that teeny window where you're like allowed to move. And then you just avoid it. But it's difficult to do. You can kind of rely on that if you want. Like, yeah, it's difficult to step. So I'll just see if my opponent can step it or not. Because if they can't, all right, cool. I'm just going to, like, hit you with it. If they do, oh, all right, I got to, like, hold back. And then when you hold back, right, you're going to have to transition to left flamingo. Because you can't transition to right. You can't do the... I mean, if they sidestep into a duck, you're going to lose here also. So you do one of the more safer things while you're attempting to, like, take advantage. So one of them is doing 3-3 forward or 3 forward. So if the opponent attempts to step towards, again, the right, your mid for this is LFS 2. It's going to catch them. That's off LFS 3 forward. If I do it off 3-3 forward, there you go, LFS 2. So that's, again, sidestep, right? If your opponent's going to step towards the left in this situation, so after 3 forward, you do LFS back 4. And that applies also for 3-3 forward as well, back 4. So again, LFS 2 for the right and LFS back 4 for the left. I believe LFS F4 does have a place here as well. It is probably against sidestep right. The other 16 frame mid, working with the other 16 frame mid. You love to see it. Links in the description below for that advanced lesson. So that covers the steps, the whiff punishes, and like the mix-up. What if the move connects? I gotta tell you, because when this move connects, you do a lot of damage. I mean it when I say you do a lot of damage. So we're gonna transfer over to a walled stage here, Mishima Dojo, and I'm gonna bring it, you know, straight again. You can mix them up at the wall here. You hit them with a LFS 3 forward, down 3-4, stand switch LFS 3-3, stand switch LFS 3 F4, you know, stuff like that. That kind of situation, just to showcase to you how it would look like. So you like down 3-4, do 4, stand switch 3 F4, right? Of course, I didn't do the 3 F4 there, I know. We're gonna bring it here, wall, guard all, just to show you. So like down 3-4, stand switch 3 F4, that could work. 1-2-4, F4, stand switch 3-3. Down 3-4, stance switch, 3 forward, 3 forward, 3-3, delayed, right? So if any of those go in, right, those 3 moves in particular, the 3-4, 3 F4, LFS 3-3, here's kind of like what a sample damage output for Hwoarang looks like. You're sitting roughly at around high 60 damage all the way up to high 80 damage, or like you're pretty close to like that 80 damage territory. And of course, this is not ending with... I'm not ending the combos with SS33. I don't want to mess it up. But for the most part, if you ended it with SS33 on these resplats, you're going to get even a higher range than with the range I just got. So we're going to do it off first, one of them. We're going to do... So you just got a backdash for this, key charge. So you're in counter hit state. 3-3-3. Resplat with RFF 4-4. What if I just CD3? Because I'm getting pretty short. There you go. 63 damage. Okay, if that was RFF F3, add +3 to that, that's supposed to be 66 damage. But if you get, let's say, 3-3 F4, this is far more easier to resplat. And there you go. 74 damage. What if they press on, let's say, this one? You're gonna surprise them. Like delay on that full thing. You want to get a full sidestep for this resplat. Just like that. You want to get like their back for it. When it's time to show and tell, that's when the nerves kick in. But not this time. 74. 73, 74, roughly. Because, you know, if they get relaunched, it's big. But see, if they stand up wrong, and that's off like a resplat on LFS 3-3. If it's a resplat off LFS 3-4, same dice, RFF 4-4. And you just watch the HP decline of your opponent. That's 72. Of course, because again, it's lacking a second kick for extra damage. And for, of course, LFS 3-4, if your opponent did decide to press a button versus this, you can squeeze probably the most damage out of this for as long as you end it on SS3-3. 79 damage. That is a lot. And it's perfect for wall pressure. This move. You can also use it in open. I've been using it in open a lot. So you can like really hit them here with that wall pressure. 3-3 into another 3 forward. Like you're gonna press a button? Just throw it out. Check it. But of course you can always go with the safer one first, 3 F4. Or if 3-4 is a better bet for you. And then resend to RFS2 if they didn't press a button. or 3-3 forward LFS1 to see if you can get that counter hit to like connect at the wall, or if you get off all your stance switches because the opponent was a little bit impatient at the wall. Of course, this also applies outside of the wall. So if they get hit by a low and you stand switch into it, that could be one of the things that really hit them. And like, you see just how you keep the opponent in check. You see how I can keep close to them by just doing a 3 forward and then canceling back and then adding all the other ways to pressure and then ending it on one of the LFS 3 or standing 3 series. And then you can reset again. Like, okay, you're gonna press a button, you still maintain the real estate. It's a legacy string that's pretty good, useful. I wouldn't say like fantastic, but it's definitely really useful. That's everything I know about it. So at least gather that they're gonna be pretty offensive here. There's another thing I didn't cover in the advanced lesson is that it's kind of hard to use when your opponent is just pressuring you like crazy. I kind of get, well, where have I used it? I've used it a lot more in offense and in you can't really use it. Again, I should have said that in the advanced lesson. Like, you can't really use it on defense as much. It's really a neutral slash offensive tool. That's really what this is. So that's the rest of the cheese, or the cheese for this lesson. The next advanced lesson is going to be on the other side of the screen. Again, I've been Frontier, and I'll see you in the next advanced Hwoarang lesson.